What's up, guys? What's up? I'm back with another video. In this video, I'll be talking about what are the characteristics of endomorphs, which type of sports should endomorphs play, what are the sports they can excel, what should be the diet, what kind of calorie intake should they follow, what kind of training principles, training protocols, and guidelines they can follow when it comes to maximizing the results from the diet. And in this video, I'll also be explaining that you don't need to self-curse yourself. You don't need to do that. So without wasting any moment and time, let's get started. So what is actually an endomorph? If you've typically noticed in if you've typically noticed the powerlifters, if you typically notice the wide bodybuilders, people who have wide hips, someone, in simple terms, someone who has broad shoulders, I would say, not broad, but typically large shoulders than the mesomorphs and the ectomorphs. Someone who has wide hips, someone who has wide torso, their shoulder to waist ratio is narratively, I would say, it's wider as compared if we try to compare it with mesomorphs and ectomorphs, right? That is the second characteristics. The other characteristics are naturally they tend to be heavier than the other two body types. If I try to compare it with mesomorphs and ectomorphs they usually weigh the lightest on the scale. It is a truth. It is a truth because none of the fitness influencers typically know about this. It is a truth. And mesomorphs are typically weigh around I would say 90 to 95 kgs. Whereas if suppose for an endomorph who was of 6 feet, if he's 183 centimeters, he might typically weigh around 100 kgs, right? He might typically weigh above 95 to 98 kilos, or typically it might go beyond that as well. So naturally, endomorphs are very heavily built, right? So because because of their low metabolism and the lower ability of their body to not digest the carbohydrates well. Endomorphs, the only drawback of endomorphs is, I would say, the metabolic rate. Due to low metabolic rate, the glucose efficiency function does not stimulate appropriately. And as a result, the insulin resistance in the pancreas, it gets spiked up. So if the insulin in the pancreas gets spiked up way beyond its average levels, then it is resulted in excess fat. So this gets converted into glycogen, right? Whatever food or carbohydrates we insert into our body, it gets absorbed, assimilated, and finally it is excreted out of our body. So the fact with endomorphs is whenever they try to eat refined carbohydrates, specifically, that is why it's always recommended to avoid refined carbohydrates. Now, besides refined carbohydrates, what are the other sources we can? You can go for healthy fats. You can go for uh, fruits and vegetables, which are very high in fiber, very high in magnesium, potassium, calcium, vitamin. They contain a lot of vitamins and minerals as well. That is why it is always recommended to go on a low carb diet. Endomorphs can usually go on, suppose let's say you can go on avoid starchy carbohydrates and you can go on brown carbohydrates. So what are brown carbohydrates? Brown rice, uh, brown rice chapatis, or maybe the typical Indian traditional rotis, or I can say uh, oats, I can say quinoa, or uh, I can say pastas or the mueslis, etc., etc., etc. Right? So there are wide range of sources available in when it comes to non-starchy foods. So in fitness, is called as non-starchy foods. Yes. So whenever we eat something, the food gets converted into a starch. It gets it gets assimilated into a body, absorbed by the small intestine, and is finally excreted. So endomorphs should usually avoid starchy carbohydrates because because of the fact that it spikes your insulin, and whenever it spikes your insulin, the fat gets converted, the all those food gets converted into fat, and instead of refueling your body, and due to low metabolic rate, the body stores all those food and energy into fat cells. And fatty cells are also known as triglycerides. The higher amount of triglycerides in your body, and the higher amount of, I would say, lipolids, the lipocytes, I would call it, uh, because of these two factors in your body, you might naturally weigh more heavier because of these factors. And it's very, very, very challenging for endomorphs to naturally reduce the triglyceride counts. It is only possible by cutting down your carbohydrates, eliminate starchy carbohydrates from your diet, include more of protein. I would recommend at least 1.5 grams of protein per body weight. Include more of vegetables. Do not eat carbohydrates at after 6 p.m. Like currently it's like 6:20 right now. So your last carbohydrate meal should be at around 5 or 4 or maybe 3, according to your time convenience and according to your school schedule and daily routine. So naturally, if you try to avoid eating carbs, what is going to happen is you will be in a fasted state. You will be in an intermittent fasting state for at least more than 12 hours, I would say. If you get up early in the morning, let's say around 7, and if you stop your meal, if you haven't consumed anything after 6, then it would primarily be at least 12 and a half hours. So by chance, if someone who naturally sleeps late, who is a late same who naturally sleeps like same like me, right? So if he naturally sleeps like let's say around, for an estimate, we can say around 10 o'clock or 10:30, then then it could be at least more than 10 hours, So and if you tend to get up at 10 o'clock in the morning, then the cycle would be altogether 12 hours. So 12 to 13 hours or 14 hours, you may be in a fasted state. And what is going to happen in that time is, in order for your body to retrieve those energy will be already depleted because the supply has been cut off. As similar to It is as similar to cutting off the supply of an port, electric charger, right? So if you cut off the supply of an electric charger, the supply would be vandalized and ultimately it would get distorted, right? Similar is the case of our body. If we try to cut off the supply of carbohydrates, the body is forced to go into a fasted state or ketogenic state, or we can say into a fat burning zone. So what is going to happen is all those energies which the body wants to utilize it will be retrieved from the fatty cells, the triglycerides. All those excess energy which gets stored into the fatty cells, it is going to be retrieved from there. And ultimately the fat process begins. The fat process begins from there, from this stage itself. And if you continue for at least the same cycle for at least 10 days to at least 10 to 15 days, you might see magical results. You might see miracles. You might see shocking results on your body. You might see your jawline has become more defined. You might see a lot of changes on your scale, in your clothes, while wearing clothes, while looking yourself in the mirror. You might see your shoulders, your chest, your arms are getting more defined, more vascular. If you try to follow this at least for 10 15 days, magic might happen. Magic. No kind of bullshit training, right? When it comes to training, high volume training is always recommended for endomorphs. Focus primarily on strength. Endomorphs' main goal is strength preservation. Reserve your strength. Try to go as heavy as you can. Progressive overload is the max. You can go for 1 rep max, or maybe you can increase the reps, go for drop sets, supersets, chain sets, pyramid sets. That said, try to aim for a maximum repetitions of around 15 to 20 reps. Sets, 3 to 4 sets primarily should be your target. Which muscle group can you target in a specific day? Well, you can go for full body workouts. Now full body workouts can typically range, suppose if you have targeted full body on Sunday, Monday would be rest, Tuesday full body workout, Wednesday rest, Thursday full body workout, another day rest, and there will be a 5 day split of full body workout. The second split you can follow is the bro split. I wouldn't recommend bro split to be followed at all. It's absolutely bullshit. It is fucking pathetic. So you should eliminate the bro split. Talking about push pull day leg split. Push pull. Push could be bench press. Push could be shoulder presses, military presses, lateral presses. Uh, then you can have cable flies, decline. I would say decline chin-ups, not decline chin-ups, decline sit-ups, right? So this comes all under push day. Pull day could be lat pull down, pull-ups, chin-ups. I would say your real delt flies, face pulls. Then you've got rows, barbell rows, deadlifts. That would be your pull day. And leg day is obviously the main important. Leg days you will target your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, and most neglected muscle, which 90% of the dudes neglect, is calves. Calves, one of the best raises for exercise for calves is standing calf raises. 100 sets, 100 reps in each set. Yes, 100 reps in each set. That's it.